it's not squeaky.
Squeaking enough, I'm afraid. Hello and welcome to the basement with me, AZ, Ghosty, and Ghosty's mates once again is Alice. And we're talking about today Aftermath, the adventure book game by Played Hat Games. We've been playing this game for a little bit now. Wanted to check it out after some time playing a few games that have sent us into a bit of sorrow. We decided that we wanted to be
happy.
Yeah, happy. So we thought we'd be little critters who are trying to build a colony in a world without humans. Could be the case now, really. So this could be the future. So we thought, why not? Production-wise, straight away from the game, really love the artwork on the box. I think anyone really would. It looks really cool. It says what it does on the tin. We've got a nice one of the characters on the front who's got a little bit of a toothpick harpoon. Component quality is really nice. The book's really smart. You have to build the boxes and things that come in. Not really sure why, but it doesn't really make that much of a difference. Figure wise, really like the figures in this game. Really, really do. You have to pay extra for Kickstarter games that come with figures with this sort of inked look. And they've just given us these. And they look really smart.
Yeah.
Really smart. You could obviously paint these if you wanted to. They're really, really nice and weighty as well. They feel really, really nice on the board. But they look good. They really do look good. And if more games did this, I'd be really impressed. Because even the enemies that you've got and your characters, they've all got this inked look. Really nice. So from the off, when you open the box, it gets you quite excited. There isn't that much in the box, so it doesn't overcomplicate things. And we were talking about this sort of stuff recently with a chap who does who's boardgamereview.uk. I'll post him in the link. He does a cup of tea and chat. I'd advise anyone to check that out. Really nice. Join in with the chat and just talk about anything. One of the things we were talking about was getting kids into games, getting them away from the computer or the Xbox or whatever it might be, and showing them there's a different world out there. And something like this is a brilliant way of doing that. Absolutely.
A bit more imagination, isn't
it? Yeah,
Mm.
Absolutely. Totally more imagination. And even from an adult's perspective, it's been really fun, hasn't it?
We've loved this one.
It's actually been really fun. It's got that same style of when you take your kids to the cinema and you're going to see a Disney film, and it has those moments where adults laugh because they get something that is kind of hidden within that. This has that, and this has that sort of beauty of being an animal and seeing things from their perspective, and how they perceive the world that we're no longer in. It's quite funny, isn't it? And they've done a good job.
To say it's quite a sad subject, like we're not here anymore, it's actually really funny, and it's not like doom and gloom, is it?
No, it's not doom and gloom, but it's quite but it's quite serious at the same time, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's got like that element of, they really are trying to struggle through this, but the way they see things and how they deal with it is really quite fun. This box from the off and with the rules really did get me excited for the game. The game is played on a book that you go through. Every page that you turn will have some sort of narrative and also have a piece of the board, what's going on, that you place the characters on. And you go through that page, and then once you get off that page, you'll move on to a different one depending on whereabouts you're headed. You've got missions that you do. And obviously there are baddies and other colonies out there that are trying to stop you from achieving your task. The way the game runs and the way it tells you is that each character has its own personal goal, and in order to complete the game entirely, we have to complete all 4 of our characters' personal goals. Now that, I think, is I'm hoping it's a broad sort of way of giving you something to work towards. I'm presuming there is a deep story in this that you will go through that will also give you a sense of achievement, because if it was just sort of the personal goals of each character, that would probably make it a little bit weak in terms of a game. But as we've been playing through it, you can see that story developing, and I think your character's personal goals will just happen within that arcing story.
Like a bit of a bonus thing.
Yeah, and it's not just been the same thing of going from one place to another. It's not been the same thing in terms of, you know, you turn up somewhere, there's some baddies, and then you're trying to get from one side to another. That was one of the things, like, if I could compare this game to something else, Mice and Mystics is probably a close game that I would compare this to. Stuffed Fables is pretty much the same thing, but a different subject. So I wouldn't compare it to that exactly, because it is the same thing, just a different subject. So if I was comparing it to a game that was close by, I would say Mice and Mystics, and that was one of the problems I had with that game. It was very samey. It felt the same as you were going through. Good game, don't get me wrong, really, really well played game, but it did get to the point where I'm thinking, you know, we're kind of going through the motions here. I think they've really tried to think about that this time and give you scenarios. I don't want to, I don't want to spoil anything for anyone who wants to play the game, because I wouldn't want to do that, because the part of the fun is now thinking what's going to happen next and what's going to do. But it is got a puzzle element to it. There are bits where you've got to figure out how you're going to go about something, because if you don't do it right, you're not going to achieve what you want to achieve, and then that will affect you negatively. I've read that people have said this game is too easy, and that they thought that there should be sort of a way of escalating it for adult players, but I don't see. Grumple died. Grumple ran away.
It ran away, didn't die.
Straight away, Grumple was mauled by geckos,
But I think if we'd gone through that first map without the geckos, we would have thought, oh, that's quite easy.
Yeah,
so
maybe.
It depends.
Yeah, maybe. It's got an interesting mechanic and I suppose it's just to keep things fresh, where the page will dictate what happens on it, and it might say, we want you to draw an event card, and you draw an event card, and on the event card it might say that an event on the page happens, or it might say that something turns up, which, like Alice was saying, is what happened to us. We on the first page, a band of geckos turned up and just mauled us.
We were thinking, oh, we can avoid them.
I know, we thought we could avoid. Well, we could have avoided them, but they would follow you. So part of the mechanic is if the situation is, even if the situation is hostile or neutral, you can still avoid them by kind of running past them, but they will follow you into the next map if that's the case, as it would. So you want to try and get rid of them. So I mean, it's pretty brutal when you think about it.
Yeah, it is.
They're pretty brutal. You got to murder other critters as you're going along.
No, but good for good as it gets.
But I would play this with kids, and as I was saying, when we had the cup of tea chat with the Board Game Review UK, we were talking about this, and this is something I would implore anybody to try and get the kids to do and have a go of, because it's challenging, it's fun,
it's not too complicated,
it's not overcomplicated at all. I think they would have a really, really good time. You could use this as a bedtime thing before you went to bed, as it would act as a story. Yeah, it would though. You could do it quite easily. And it would make you want to play the next bit and want to get to the next page. And I love games that do that. They really make you want to go that extra. You get to the end and you think, God, we've been playing this. We should stop now, but I want to know what happens. Yeah, but I want to know. Alice fell asleep. Yeah, she was tired when we were playing. I wanted to try and carry on and get our snoodles, but we couldn't. But you got your snoodles, didn't you? So we got some snoodle, which is the prime. You didn't eat the snoodle. You didn't give me bad breath.
You might not kiss me afterwards.
No, I'm okay. I'm not desperate for snoodles. I need
onion
them
snoodles.
For the colony. The colony, that's for you.
The colony.
We don't eat things. We just save them. But everything you're doing in the game is for the good of the colony, and you're thinking about how your decisions will affect the colony. There is dice rolling in the game. There's a little bit of luck. It is a bit of a struggle though. With the you get cards that kind of dictate what actions you can do, and it's got a mechanic in it where you're able to add other cards to it to boost your scores and attributes, which is really nice. And then you roll a dice that kind of affects that. And I think at the moment it's got a very nice balance of you're always at the point where you think this is going to go one way or another. You know, you put enough cards into to not deplete yourself, but you want to try and make sure that you're going to pass this. But then there's always that thing is, oh, you might not. This could, and it happens to us a few times, isn't it? But I like that. I like that.
And those, what are they called? My memory's so shocking.
You mean the track, the enemy track?
I kept on getting the threat cards, didn't I?
Yeah.
Like 3 in one go, and I was like, you're doing this on purpose.
So the mechanics of it are different to sort of any game that I've played. That's if you're looking for, if it's sort of like an enemy attacking dungeon crawl kind of thing that happens, it's sort of a timed thing, and almost enemies might turn up, but those enemies might just be stood around. Let's say they're busy doing their own little thing and trying to get on with it. They've not really spotted you yet, and as you draw cards to do your actions, you might draw a threat card, and then that threat card gets put onto underneath those enemies, and if they fill up, those enemies then all of a sudden realise you're there, and then they will attack you, or they'll activate and they'll do something. So you're not always under a threat, but drawing these cards and picking those cards up adds that element of, you know, they could go for us this round, and that's what happened. Poor Grumple tried to go into murder a few, and it didn't really work, and then
he got to the
then they all mauled him.
What's a she?
She's a she. I know she is, but she's a bossy she, though, isn't she?
Yeah.
She's currently crammed into a vending machine, which is quite cool. That was quite hilarious.
You were laughing your head off.
I know, because she's just squeezing into this vending machine, so it was just quite. It was really funny, but it's exciting, and they've done a good job of what narrative they've put in is enough to keep you excited about the game. It doesn't go overboard. It doesn't overcomplicate it. It really just gives you a good idea of what's happening, and then lets you get on with what's happening. But then, as you're going through the map and you land on certain spaces, you can read certain bits that you've seen, and the characters are talking to each other while this is happening. So there really is that banding together of this group of scavengers, and you care about them, don't you? You really do. You straight away. We were so good that Grumple ran away because she was getting mauled. Like, we was like, oh my god, Grumple. But it's exciting. That's what you want in a game, and sometimes I would say, you know, less is more, or really think about what it is you want out of a game. And I think this does that. Gripe-wise, if I have to grumble about anything, I would say the rulebook. Although simple, it is worded in a very bizarre way sometimes, and I was sat there trying to work out what this meant and what that meant, when in reality it was quite simple. And sometimes, I'm sure many of you will have been on forums when they've said, and they'll say, just take it literally. When really, if it was better written, you would have already got that. And I guess because there's not really a lot of games that have this sort of mechanic, that it just takes your head to get around. But really, I think they could have got away with a playthrough step by step. The first bit of this should have been a learn to play as you go, and it walked you through it.
Yeah.
So you didn't make the decisions. It just said, you know, you're going to do this. You draw this card, and it does this, and you kind of walked through what happens, and then at the end, you can look at the book, which has a breakdown of each section for you to get a better idea. Plenty of games do that. Plenty of more complex games do that and do it well. And I think that I've always said that get you playing is the best way. And although the rulebook's not long at all, and you'll blast through it pretty easily, but there will be this, what does that actually mean, and where does that go, and why are they there?
I'd understand it better if you played it.
Yeah.
Because I won't be able to remember off that.
Maybe not. But once you grasp it, it's quite simple, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is, and it's very rewarding, which I like. I'm always a fan of rewarding. Games that are too hard, I say too hard on purpose, that aren't meant to be that way, is irritating, and this isn't. this you feel like you're achieving things even if it's hard.
But it's not too easy either.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's got a really nice. It has got a really nice balance of everything, and I've been impressed. I've been very impressed with what they've tried to do, and I think it's got elements of excitement. It's got elements of discovery. There's cards that you don't know about that are hidden away until things happen, and it will say, now put this card in to use. You'll meet people as you go along, or meet creatures, and then you'll add those creatures into the discovery part for you to turn up again. You know, I love that. That's
expand your colony.
Yeah, it's a brilliant idea for a game, and plenty of games do use that, but how you use it is important, because if you don't remember who it is, what's the point? So it has to be a bit where you think, oh yeah, it's that guy, you know what I mean? And they're turning up, and it does it really well. So I think for me, you could play this game solo if you wanted to, quite easily. It does scale if you just wanted to use 2 characters instead of the 4. I would use the 4 because they talk to each other in the book, and so that's more exciting if they're actually on the page, because who are they talking to otherwise? That would be a bit weird, wouldn't it? But you could play it too. It wouldn't bother. I would still play it if I was playing solo. I would still use 4 because you could easily do it.
Yeah, it wouldn't be too complicated to do that, would it?
No, not at all. So you could still easily do it.
Yeah.
But for me, the fun of narrative games is playing with somebody, even if it's one other person. I love reading stuff, so I find that really exciting, and I find that quite good when other people are enjoying, you know, that I'm reading things and making up voices and being silly. And so this is why I was saying, you know, if you do like doing stuff with your kids, this is perfect. It really is, because they would love it. And as an adult, you'd like the underlining humour of things that you would get out of it is funny, isn't it?
Yeah,
it really is. Like, they've done a good job of sort of taking the mick out of how we actually are as human beings, but how it would be perceived as an animal. It's strange and weird. It is funny, and you think to yourself, we do that. That is what we do. Why do we do that? I don't know.
Who started doing that?
Yeah, it's like that, isn't it? It's quite. It makes things really simple, and or brings things back to a really simple way of thinking, but it's quite funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, from the basement, I would say that this gets 2 thumbs up from me, and it goes to White, and some snoodles. If you've got some snoodles, I would go for it, because they're a precious commodity.
Strong though.
Yeah, so this is entering the world of box sniffers. Yeah, me and Board Game Review UK, we've started a new clan, don't be afraid. We're going to unite now, we're called Box Sniffers.
You're going to start a hashtag?
Yeah, hashtag box sniffing. Don't pretend you don't do it when you get a new game. Don't. That's what we're saying. Don't pretend you don't, because we do. But you do. You feel it, and then you smell it. It's just.
And that's the order that you do it?
Well, I mean, you might. I mean, if the postman's in front of you, I wouldn't sniff it then. I mean, it's a private thing.
It's a private movement.
But don't be ashamed about it. That's what we're trying to say. We're trying to bring this out of your shell.
Box sniffers unite.
Yeah, don't be ashamed of sniffing your boxes. These boxes. Sniff these. That's it. They're okay. But no, we recommend Aftermath. We're very much looking forward to finishing the game and excitement. We do have stuffed fables as well with the expansion, and so I'm excited to also be a stuffed animal doing whatever he might want to do, or she. I'm 2 girls in this one, so I might.
That was just random though, wasn't it? We just picked. Well,
yeah, we always pick
2 boys.
So I hope that you would get a chance to play this. I definitely would recommend it. It's a really nice game, really lovely, has a very warm, fuzzy feeling. So if you're stuck inside and need something to do, get stuck into Aftermath. Thumbs up from the basement. Hope you're all okay, and we'll see you again with some snoodles. I'll have one of them now.
They're really strong.
Are they?
Yeah.
Good.